Peak Inside, episode 2. I'm Arky Jones, and we've got Leanne with us today, as always. We're going to talk about, we're just going to do a short session on different types of personalities in love, in lovers, in romance. So, whereas me, I don't have very much experience with it. Hopefully, Leanne can carry the carry the baton.
I wish I could. I have some. I would like to share it later.
We'll keep it. We're just going to have a little bit of fun with this one, guys. So, I guess that in the modern world, we've all seen this kind of swipe left, swipe right, this kind of online apps where people meet up and date, and it's all very confusing. But I thought it would be like a little bit of fun, just a bit lighthearted, to just like make a bit of a guess, really, and an educated guess just on stories I've heard and things I've been told by other people in the dating game about different types of personalities that people do meet while they're out on this kind of, a journey of finding the next partner. Now, that aside, I mean, the modern world just seems to have reduced everything to an algorithm, and that's fine, and I'm still hoping that it does exist out there for people that need it, that want it. I don't know because I know whatever's changed, the whole world has so-called evolved, and therefore we are now going to talk about different types of lovers. So I'll start with the first one. I was told the other day, this was a funny story by one of my friends, and they were on this date, and they described that the guy was like a Labrador. You know the dog, the Labrador, and it was eager to please, overly sharing, overly energetic, and slightly damp.
You said slightly dumb?
Damp, the nose.
Okay. Physically, I read. And he's the life of the conversation?
Yeah, but I think probably overly energetic and a little bit perspiring, so maybe anxious or difficult to know. But I just thought it was a funny analogy because they're just such loving dogs.
They are. They are actually. And it's funny that he's able to actually pull it off. Like in front of everyone with that kind of what do you call it? With that kind of feeling, with the perspiration and stuff like that, he's still able to like showcase himself, I can say.
I mean, can you think of any types of awkwardness that you've found over the years, like with different type potential suitors? I mean, like there's those people who they say they want something, and then they arrive, and as they sit down, they mark every exit before they've even settled in to get to know the person. It's. I think that the thing with the modern world is that there is so much kind of opportunity, so much diversity, so much connection, that maybe things that used to be simple when we lived in smaller communities have become more complicated as the world's become. The more connected we get, the more distant we seem to be. The more connected the world, the more isolated any given individual seems to be from the community.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I mean, even though we have different ways and means nowadays to connect with each other, still people would still feel isolated, that they're alone and stuff, versus it should not have been the result of those connections that the world is bringing into. And one funny thing is that nowadays, now that we are surrounded by different types of technologies and stuff, I guess one kind of personality that exists when it comes to relationship rather would be love bombing. It's very common in different conversations that I've been into with my friends and yeah, some of the colleagues that I have. It's love bombing wherein a guy would reach out to a girl and he's gonna let her feel so special, so loved, so unique, so everything, like for a span of time. But then after like a few times, after a few weeks or a month, it's like a complete 360-degree turn of how the guy treats the girl. It was like, where the where the H is that person who used to be this caring to this girl a month ago? Now that you're seeing like very like strangers and stuff like that. So I feel like unlike in our time, because I feel like we share the same timeline when it comes to the dating stage when we were younger. I mean, during our time, it's more, what do you call it? Solemn, sincere, that when someone actually is courting a girl, you would know that this guy is serious, and it prolongs to a certain period of time. I'm not saying that love should actually, or being in a relationship or going into a relationship should be dependent into time, because yeah, there's still scenario of like, okay, love at first sight, you fall in love with a person for like a short period of time, but there are still some who actually follow the usual time frame. So I feel love bombing is one of the issues of relationships in today's personalities, that shows up in today's time. There's one more that I'd like to share, but perhaps I wanted your thoughts on love bombing first.
No, it's an interesting one because it's almost you've created like in the face to face previously, just 20 years ago, 15 years ago, in the face to face without the social media, without all the access to instant messaging, without access to all the apps, that there was real consequences in real time when you acted that way. So, for example, if you were over affectionate, other people would see that. Your colleagues might see it, your friends would see it, your family would see it. And there had to be some more substance to it because there was a real chance that one of your brothers or your dad, if the guy was just absolutely stringing you guys along, would have a chat with them and set them straight on the way that they were thinking, or at least clarify the intention. Whereas it's the same with driving, where the immediate consequence, the risk, has been reduced. So, whereas before you might be able to love bomb one person because it's the community would know, now they could do that to 20 people simultaneously. And you wouldn't know about each other with the technology, with the computer, and never know. And I mean, I even know a case of one person that got scammed with love bombing technique over a 6 month period for $30,000 because they basically convinced them they loved them. They said that they were on their way. They were on their way here with a bag full of doubloons, gold doubloons, and they'd been arrested in Turkey, and they just needed $30,000 to bail them out, and then they would get the plane in. So the person sent it thinking it was her true love, and of course they never arrived, and the money was gone. And I think that that was a 6 month kind of period, whereas face to face back in the day, like community members knew each other. You knew people from your town. You knew who was serious, who wasn't. And even if you'd gone to the city for work, you often would meet people in that work environment. So there was some history on them. Whereas now, the whole the whole game is just crazy. It's absolutely crazy, and I think like that type of personality, though, I don't necessarily think that's kind of like a it's gives the person receiving it the maximal desire that they want, but I don't think it's necessarily like a dating technique as such. I think it's a manipulation technique more so in that type of personality as opposed to like the Labrador I said earlier, which is just a fun, overly eager dude.
Of course, it's a different scenario when it comes to the Labrador story earlier, but yeah, I agree with you on that. I think it's some sort of like manipulation technique when you love bomb someone, because it's like you're trying to get that person move, think, or decide, being controlled by you, may it be directly or indirectly, because you have, what do you call it? You have the capability to steer up emotions into the person because you have gained the trust already through the love bombing technique. And I agree with you as well that love bombing before, is being done like to one person alone, and everyone around you and the person you're in love with would actually see that you're the two in the relationship. It's just that nowadays you can do it to multiple people, and that leads to the next personality that I feel like is rampant as well, like those people who do ghosting. The term ghosting nowadays is being
Yeah.
used. Before, when we were in this stage, there's no ghosting. He just left and that's it. He moved on. He had a new partner. That's it. Nowadays, the Gen Z or whatever they call the people in today's generation, they call it ghosting. Like you were just okay, and then after a few days, you don't hear from the person and you're ghosted. So it's like, I think it's like they're connected from being bombed, love bombed, to being ghosted because the person may not have that serious intention with you. So, so I guess that's the second to that love bombing technique thing. Have you had any stories before that you've heard about like ghosting and stuff, Arky?
Yeah, I think that like someone that's willing to do that as well. I think again, it's a consequence of this modern technology where you've got this ability to do it. Because previously, if you wanted to go someone, especially if you live nearby, you'd have to move bloody house. Whereas now, you like we said, we might be dating 20 different people online, trying to find the one that gives you maximum benefit. For what you perceive to be maximum benefit, and then you just cut people off. And with that, I mean, that type of personality, you've got to argue that there's possibly a lack of moral, possibly a lack of concern for others, maybe a bit of narcissism, because if you're willing to do that to a person that has invested in you, it's one of them where it's kind of asking for trouble. But let's just bring this back to a little bit more like day to day personalities, like in everyday relationships. So, like, you've got the one, let's say you've got the one who's obsessed with cleaning, and you go to their house for the first time, and it's immaculate. And then they might say to you like, "Oh, when can I come back to your place?" And your place is not quite as well kept. And then you've got that kind of dramatic, rapid fire, quick tidy up. Everything's shoved into the cupboard, and then they arrive, and for 5 minutes it looks orderly until they open your oven and realize that the oven is not clean to their standards. And I think that's in those early stages, that kind of feeling out of personalities, like the guy that's always on time, whereas you're used to running on Filipino time and being an hour late. It's like that it's things like that where you've got to it's kind of a feeling out. But I do feel like a lot of the I think also probably one thing that's crazy in this modern world is the way that they portray themselves online. They take pictures with filters on. They take they have all the best like background images where
Agree.
they're in Bahamas. They present this self as the best possible self. Whereas, like, you might have had a bullcrap artist back in the past that tried to charm you, but you would see their real life. Whereas now, someone might portray themselves as rich or successful or an entrepreneur, and until they actually meet them, there's no way to know because we have access to technology now that you can make yourself look like you do anything you want. Like if I've got a belly, but if I wanted a six pack, I could do it right now. Or
Yeah.
not really, just with AI.
Yeah. You can actually change everything now, even if it's not true. And the bad thing on that is people won't know. As long as you post it, they won't, not unless they're your neighbors. They're like, oh, she's not in Bahamas. She's not in whatever place it is. So that's the only thing with that. But to other people like across the world, no one will know if what you're saying is true or not. So basically, it's just really how you would want to portray yourself if it's the true self of yours. But I think it's a common ground or common thinking of people to always present their best foot forward, always show their best self in like to other people. People may say that you should not care about what other people will be saying. Nah, it's not that easy. It will never be easy. You can always shove it at the back of your head, like what they're saying, but at the end of the day, that piece at the back of your head, it will still haunt you. It was like, how will I look if I do this? What will people say if I do this? So, still, even if you say you don't care, a part of you at the back of your head, you're still thinking about it. And you would still want to wake up knowing that what I posted last night is something that I can be proud of, whether it's true or not. So I think that's just the
But
negativity of today's. Mm,
that's where if you remove consequence, immediate consequence, and this goes beyond relationships. It's like some of the things you see people say to other people online. In real life, they would traditionally have just got punched in the face for saying it. And I think that, like, in different personality types within relationships as well. I think that, in the traditional way, in the olden days, where you met someone locally, or someone you'd work with, you would be able to see their traits beforehand. You'd be able to, like, feel them out, and you'd see things you admired, like they kept their desk orderly, they made a great cup of tea or a great cup of coffee, they took pride in their work, they took pride in their appearance over time. I think now, like, you could meet someone for the first time, and it's very, very possible that they've been on 5 dates that day. Like, they're instead of a serial killer, they're a serial dater. And you're just the next in
bless
line.
her.
And I think that navigating that type of personality as well is tricky, because you probably, I would say, probably now it's come full circle, where people will meet and just be upfront pretty early what they expect, and if the other one's in the same boat or not, because I think people don't have time to waste. The other thing is, women have been leaving it later and later and later to have children, and so as that biological clock ticks, that's another pressure for them when they're dating, if they do ever want children. And I think, for personality wise, I think one thing people are doing is, if they're serious, is they're trying to feel out very early on, are we compatible? Now, compatible doesn't mean the same. It means, like, do our values align? Do we both have mutual respect? Do we respect ourselves? Can we share our time with others? Do we understand the importance of not always winning? And kind of that journey. I think that in this so-called speed dating world, that you either want short-term hedonistic interactions, or you're looking for a relationship. But I would not want to be navigating this world now, because it seems fucking mad.
Yep, agree. Because basically, it's still always a decision of whichever it is that you would like to show. You may be affected by different stimuli, like the external factors out there, and your decision would be clouded and stuff. But still, at the end of the day, it's still gonna boil down as to how you would want people, or how would you want to see yourself, whether it's in the eye of you, or your own eyes, or in the eye of the other people rather. Just so perhaps, it's still in my firm beliefs that it's still peaceful to actually sleep when you feel like you have done something that you are satisfied with, whether it satisfies you alone or it satisfies other people as well. So basically, your personality changes actually. So it's like your personality changed to whatever the situation is, whatever, wherever you are, whoever you're speaking with, your personality changes. It's like how I look like at home would be very much different from how I look like outside, mingling, socializing, and stuff like that. I have my hair in a bun, I have my home clothes and stuff like that. But then when you see me like in a party and stuff, I was like this prim and proper lady. So you see, it adjusted depending on the situation. And the reason I do that is because I wanted to conform with the social norm that is also pleasing me as well inside, like um my I'm satisfying myself doing that. Also, I know it conforms to the social norm that is set of the people, or this the party or the event that I'm going into, because that's what
The
they call
just
for.
on the party one, I one of my friends told me this story the other day. He's divorced, and he saw his wife, his ex-wife, at a party, and she was like all done up, beautiful and lively, and he said it was the girl he remembered from 20 years ago. But the thing is like either he was dragging her down, like the truth is either he was dragging her down or she was putting on a show, exactly what you just said, for the party, and the true self was closer to what those 20 years showed. And I think that's just it. We can all wear a mask. We can all present anything we want in a snapshot of time. But this is the problem, that people are these days having to make decisions in a snapshot of time, because before we would get to know people through school, work, friends, local community, and there would be reputation. That reputation aspect has been taken out, so you have to make those decisions in a couple of hours date that previously you might have known someone for a year, 2 years, 3 years before you even courted them. And this is where I do think the modern world is stacked against people getting ahead, getting into a normal relationship. And I think it still exists. Of course it does. Of course it does. But in that game, I think once you start to play that game, it's going to be very, very difficult. And I mean, this is what one of the other girls told me. She said to me, a hot guy, a hot guy is really, really nice. It's really nice, but she would take an emotionally stable guy 10 times out of 10.
Yeah, of course. A hot guy versus an emotionally stable one? Definitely. Well, I will side your friend on that choice. Well, physical feature will always come like, oh, he's a hot guy, he's so handsome and stuff like that, good looking and all. But that's just for fun of like sprung of the moment, like just a tiny few minutes of appreciation. After that, you won't dwell on it. You would go into deep conversations, people who value emotions, who know how to reciprocate feelings and stuff like that. Because that is something long term. As they say, physical appearance, physical beauty always fades, but the one inside doesn't. So.
Well, the honeymoon period, you might get 6 months from it, but after that 6 months, you're going to see the sweatpants version, and that's where the metal hits the meat. That's where the metal hits the meat. So look, we'll wrap this up for today. This is we just had a little bit of a laugh and just a quick look at a few personalities in modern lovers. I'm not the best one for it, but it was an interesting conversation. We've obviously learned a lot about like relationships and different types of archetypes with Personality Peak. So guys, please like, subscribe, check us out on personalitypeak.com, and remember, it is presented to you that it's dog out, dog eat there, but maybe just look a little bit closer to home. Maybe try and find small things, small wins, because they will tell you it is hopeless. They will tell you it's pointless. It's not. Human beings are designed to work together, to be together, to have someone that they can trust, someone that they can love, someone that they can respect. So just keep moving forward. Keep working towards the goal. Know what you need, but also, please, guys, I'm not saying this in a bad way. Don't set your benchmark so high. Don't fly so close to the sun that you end up burning yourself. Do you have any final words before we wrap up episode 2 of Peak Inside?
Yeah, it's a great conversation for today. We hope to see you again, everybody, on the next episode of Peek Inside, and everyone take care.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Bye, guys.